Hey guys, it is week 5 of my 52-week series titled 52 Weeks of Reaper. So let's jump right in. So for this week, we are going to be discussing Reaper scripts and extensions. This is definitely a big one. So what Reaper scripts and extension is, it's based off the language that it uses, the coding language. I think it's more than one, but they're very modern coding languages. And that's how you're really communicating with Reaper when you click a button, select an option. So because of the modern coding language that's being used, it makes it easy to go in and design your own commands and functionality within Reaper. So if you don't like the way something works, you can actually go in, do some scripting, and actually get the result that you're looking for based on the functionality that you are looking for. Now, the beauty with SWS extensions and Repack, which we're gonna talk about, is that you who don't know how to code, because I don't know how to code, don't have to worry about that, because they are building these features in, creating the code for you, and then giving you the script or the action that's gonna execute these different commands and add just way more functionality and options to Reaper. So first of all, we're on the Reaper page, and we're gonna first look at SWS extensions. So when you come to the Reaper website, you go over here to resources and come down to SWS Reaper extensions. So I would say install this one first. So this is going to give you a package of scripts and extensions, which is going to add a bunch of options and new features to Reaper right off the bat. It's already self-contained in there. I'm not going to go through the details of everything. It's too much to talk about. I'm not going to go into how to install it. Look it up on the web. There are tons of videos where they talk about it. I'm just going to point out its functionality. So before you install this, Reaper is actually going to be missing a menu, because this just opens up Reaper for just way more functions, functionality, and options. So let's jump back here. And then the next one is the Repack Manager. So let me also address this. It says Repack Package Manager. You're gonna hear a lot of people say REAPER. It is not REA. Just to clear up that argument, it's not called REAPER, it's called Reaper. So they're gonna use REA and then put something behind it. You're gonna see a lot with a lot of the plugin names and a lot of these functionalities. So it's not REAPER, it's a Repack Package Manager. So you're gonna hear me say every time I see REA before something. So I will not say REAPER, I will say Repack, because it's part of Reaper. So with the Repack Package Manager, this is what blows Reaper wide open with functionality. Is it's not just scripts, the rescripts or extensions. It's also adding effects, themes, language packs, templates, a whole lot. And I imagine when they first did this, it was a separate thing that you had to install. But the problem with that is the developers are constantly upgrading and tweaking and fixing and improving the different scripts, extensions, and effects that they are putting in this package manager. And they wanted a way where that update is always going to be synchronized and locked in with Reaper, so that you can quickly and easily update thousands of these different package enhancements without having to go and download the new version and all that other stuff. So eventually they baked it where you can install it. It's a part of Reaper, and just about once a day whenever I start Reaper, I always hit the refresh button for it to check and update, because there are some developers like MPL and there's another one called FTC. I think it stands for Feed the Cat. They're constantly doing updates throughout the day. So you will do a repository refresh push early in the day, and you'll see MPL has a bunch of new updates. It'll automatically update your scripts, your extensions, everything will be up to date. And then later on in the day, I'll come back to the studio and open Reaper again in the evening, and I hit it again, and you'll see more updates from the same developer, MPL or Feed the Cat or whatever. So they're constantly updating. So if you can, make some donations to those developers, they deserve it. They work tirelessly day in, day out, adding, updating, and maintaining all the different scripts, effects, extensions, themes that's available. So this one is very important because it stays up to date at all times, and it just works seamlessly right within Reaper. So it is a repository within Reaper once you install it. Once again, I'm not going through the details of installing it. You guys research that online. I'm just pointing out the features and the functionality. So let's jump into Reaper. So when you first install Reaper, you will not see this option right here that says extensions. Once you install SWS extensions, you will have that functionality right here, which adds a whole bunch of stuff. And these are some of the things where I said I have to talk about this first, because some other things that I'm going to talk about later on in the series as we go along through the year, I'm going to have to address some of these options and some of these windows. So we got to talk about this first. And also Repack, as we talked about, it has an option right here that says synchronize packages. Let's run that. And it's going to synchronize packages. The first time you set this up, and it'll tell you how many was installed. It'll give you, see, there we go, MPL scripts, reteam scripts. And these are like some of the basic ones that you want to install when you first set it up. Like I said, watch a video online. They'll show you how to set it up. And then there'll be other third-party repositories that you can now add in, which we will talk about briefly when we talk about plugins, and then we'll dive deeper into that when I get to the video on plugins, which might be next week's video or the week after. I gotta go through and see the order of the information that I'm disseminating. So you want to synchronize your packages, I say at least once a day. There's the browse package option, there's the import, there's the manage, and then there's about. And we'll dig deeper into that as the weeks go on and we start interacting more with these menus. But I wanted to introduce some of this in this video. Just to touch on a few, because it's a lot. There's literally thousands of options that are added between the different scripts, the different extensions, the different commands, options that are added, functionalities that are added, effects that are added, and even with the themes. And it's a great way for developers to add things and update things and make it easy for you to update the feature, the functionality, the effect. So first, let's take a look at this first feature, which is this little grid display window right here. So if you notice, I'm changing the grid view. You look right here and you'll see the grid lines are changing. So by default, Reaper does not have this window that shows you this. So right now I'm rolling my mouse wheel with a couple of key modifiers held. That's not how Reaper is configured by default. That's just how I have my mouse set to work. But before, I didn't have a window that shows me what my grid value is set at. If you notice, it's now changing here, the number is changing, and the grid value is changing. So I can see what my grid value is at. This, you can move it around and place it where you want it to be. And you can right click on it and customize it. There are preferences, so I have that show snap button. So you have this little snap button, snap on, snap off attached to that. So I can also customize it and change the size. So we go up here, I type in that number. For the height, let's put it at 22. And now the height changes. Let's change it back. It's 32. Okay, there we go. So you can customize the color of the fonts, the color of the edge, the actual border around it. You can make the corner rounded. You can really go in and customize the look. And if you notice, in the MIDI edit screen, you do have one here by default, but that is different from this one. So once again, I have my mouse set up that in the MIDI edit screen, I can change my grid value by holding some mouse modifiers and rolling my mouse wheel up and down. But this is now changing the grid on the MIDI edit screen as opposed to doing it down here. And you see the change here for the arrangement screen. There we go. So that's one of those cool quality of life things that got added because of these extensions and scripts. Next up, let's look at this one in here. So with MIDI, let's say I'm writing some MIDI. Bear with me while I write some MIDI. So I'm gonna change the timing on these notes. All right, so quickly I can just shift the grid because of my mouse setting by just rolling the wheel, holding a button, and then change this. So I want this. Okay, so that's what I want for my bass notes, and then I'm gonna write some chords quickly. So let's copy all of this, copy it up an octave, go down 5. All right. Let's do some chords here. That's good. I think this is going to be a minor. That should be minor also. All right, so let's say I want that to be my chord progression, and I'm going to duplicate this and then start doing some variation here. Let's copy this note up. Actually, let's copy this note up an octave and drop this. So when it loops around, invert that. Let us quickly highlight this, and we're gonna make all these notes a little bit shorter. Then we're gonna humanize it. Some randomization with the velocity, the timing, and the time bias. So let's say this chord right here, I want to strum it. There are extensions that I set up so that once I highlight these notes, I hover my mouse over here, hold a couple of keyboard shortcuts, and I get the option to just strum it however I want. So now, bring the velocity down on this. And let's strum these two. These are all because of scripts and extensions. To give it a more human feel. Strum this a little bit. Strum this. So on. So another script I want to talk about is, if you notice, when I highlight these chords, I have the chords being displayed over here. So whatever I highlight, let's go wide. Every time I highlight, pay attention over here, it's showing me the chords. Let's see what this is. Okay. So that is not there by default. This is an extension that places this window here. You can position the window similar to this window over here, where I can put it where I want. Similar thing here. So I put it up here, and it comes with some other extra functionality. There's a lot of settings in here. You know, set that it all runs at start. The script runs at start. This one, same thing. Set that the script runs at startup. So it's always starting up and running. It's always there whenever I need it. This one, of course, is specific to the MIDI screen. So another cool thing that this allows, there's a lot of functionality baked into this, but one of the cool things I love about it also is when I'm writing chords, like I just did, I can now highlight all of these. Right click over here, and I can say export as text event. And when I do that, it's gonna give me the name of every chord, where the chords are, which is very important for me when I am writing my chords and laying everything down, especially in the beginning when I'm composing. And all that comes through on the arrangement page, the MIDI file. So all your chords are there. So I love that script / extension for that beautiful feature, some of the features it brings, and it helps me out with my workflow when I am composing. And if you guys want to know specifically what they are, I guess hit me up in the comment section and I will respond and send links. So the next one I want to talk about real quickly is the MK slicer, which is a sampler that's added when you add your extensions. So let's bring up the actions window real quick and type in MK slicer, and this should be it right here. And it automatically picks up this sample and it starts to chop. You can decide where the chops are. You can set it to chop to grid and then set the grid setting that you want. And There's a lot of functionality in here with the slices and what you can do with the slices. Like I said, I'm not gonna go into the details of it because that's not what this video is about. I just wanna show you some of the functionality and the tools that are opened up to you once you install your SWS Extensions Manager and the Repack Package Manager. Let's look at Chord Gun really quickly. Oh, real quick, let's look at this one. This is another way to load your plugins quickly. You can search for them. Reaper does have its own that looks like this, that organizes all your plugins. You can search plugins, effect, chains, and plugin presets that you've saved. You can put them in folders and organize them the way you want. You can get a lot done in here also. But somebody created something that's bigger and more modern. It pretty much serves the same purpose. So let's look up. Okay, so let's find a good sound. All right, let's go with that. So the next one I want to look at really quickly is this one here called Chord Gun. All right, so let's look up Chord Gun. And it is there. Interesting enough. But I have it saved up here, which we'll talk about that in another video. So with this track highlighted, I hit this, Chord Gun opens up. So this will give you that music theory workflow where you can go in, you can select a key, you can select a scale, and it'll give you the chord number system 1 through 7, and they give you variation for all the 1 chords and a bunch of variations for the 2 chords and so on and so forth. So you can use this to figure out a progression. You can change the octave that it's in also. So you can use this to figure out a chord progression and then go from there. Once again, I'm not going through the details of how this works as far as step-by-step using it, just pointing out that it's there. Just one of the other features that is there once you open up Reaper's capabilities by installing SWS extensions and the Repack Package Manager. So that's pretty much it for today's video, guys. Definitely check that feature out in Reaper. It is huge. It's a game changer. Anybody you see online talking about it, you will see. And then just do a search for SWS extensions, or do a search for Repack Manager, and you will see people talking about the craziest, some of the weirdest features and functionality that has been added to Reaper that's buried in that. We'll talk about that a little bit more with some effects, hopefully next week, or maybe week after next week when we start talking about plugins in Reaper. But that's pretty much it for the video, guys. Definitely check it out. Thanks for watching. Join me next week as we continue this 52-week journey. And as always, you'll see me in the next video.